Before we begin, I just wanted to thank all 200 of my subscribers. Just 2 months ago, we were at 100, and now I'm at 200, double, less than the time that it took me to get 50 more subscribers to reach 100. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. It's very encouraging to have people that are actually watching my channel. I'm doing this mostly for posterity, but it's very nice to be able to have that little bit of recognition that some people are subscribing and enjoying your videos. So I thank you all, and I appreciate that very much. Okay, so let's get started with today's pickup. So this is an Onkyo discrete output slash stereo power amplifier. If you look at it, the interface is very unusual because it's very simplistic. You got just your power button. This is not a button, so it's just part of the front panel. You got a protection light, and then you have just an A and a B speaker, and obviously headphones jack. Now you might be asking yourself, well, where are all the other inputs? Well, apparently, and this one does come with front handles, which kind of makes it moving around a little bit convenient. Model number M-501. As you can see, I mean, it does have two speaker inputs, two front speaker inputs. You do have your regular remote control link up, but you just have one audio input. Okay, so how could this be an amplifier and just have one audio input? Well, it turns out that these Onkyo models, let me just turn it back to the front. So it turns out that these Onkyo models have to have a preamp for them to fully function, which I found pretty interesting. And what I decided to do is to scour eBay and find the preamp that goes with this amplifier. The reason for that is because this is a very substantially powerful amplifier. You're going to get your money's worth with the amount of power that this amp is going to give off. So now what I'm going to do is, I did get the amplifier. It's in this box. So I'm going to go ahead and open that in just 1 second, and you'll be able to see the amplifier preamp. You'll be able to see the preamp that comes with the Onkyo. So let's get right to it. All right, so let's have a look at this. Open this right up. Kind of excited to see the whole thing. All right. Some paperwork here. Nicely packed. Get that out of the box. Out of the way. So the preamp does not look in that bad a shape. I mean, there's a few. See if the camera can pick that up. So it does have a few scratches there, but it's not too bad. And there's the front display. It's a little bit of wear on the corners, but that's okay. Okay, and there's a little bit of wear in some of the areas, a couple of scratches. And this is the I think the model's number there, the P-3160. So as you can see, let's take a look at the back. You're going to get all your standard inputs for vinyl and the CDs and the tuner and your other AC outlets. So we're going to go ahead and hook this up and then hook it up to some speakers and see what kind of sound we get out of this. I got the Ben Sound CD somewhere, and I will set this up with a CD player and see what kind of sound do we get. Okay, so I started assembling this, and I got one of my speakers hooked up. So it turns out that I have banana plugs on my speaker wire, and unfortunately these do not quite fit into these knobs. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take off the banana plugs that I have installed in these wires, which is kind of a shame because I had already cut them to size to fit there exactly, but it's no biggie. So I'm gonna set up the B side speakers first, and then we'll get some sound out of this, and then I'll test the other ones as well. I probably just want to say kind of like this little disclaimer. I would never recommend putting this preamp on top of the amplifier because, the vents need to let out the heat. Although from what I read online, this doesn't get really hot, so that's a good thing. But still, as a precautionary measure, you should not be putting anything on top of the amplifier, or at least this part of the amplifier. Yeah, it's kind of looking like a tower of power there, but we'll get that sorted out right now. All right, looks like the speakers are all plugged in. Okay, and I have the power part of the amplifier connected to the preamp, and I got this thing connected to this input right here for the 110 watts per channel power. I just wanted to briefly go over this amp. This is the P-3160. So you got your typical R1 remote control. A lot of Onkyo devices have the R1 remote control, which is basically a function that allows you to control or link up with auxiliary cables from the amplifier all the way up to the other components. This one also has it here. And you also got some kind of controller for the phono, if you have one of those record players that Onkyo makes that you can power with a remote control. And apparently it looks like we have a stereo and mono control. It says there that it's for the VCR, so that's probably an interesting feature. There are some video cassettes that were recorded in mono, so actually that might come in handy if you have one of those. And then your typical phono with the ground, and then CD, tuner, 2-tape inputs, VCR. Don't see really a date code anywhere. There's a serial number there. Made in Japan, where all the good stuff comes from. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the front. All right, so all you got to do, this is already pushed on, so just go ahead and plug it in. Okay, and obviously want to play the B. That's where we're plugged in. Up to this point, I have no idea if it's possible to play both. I've tried looking online for a manual to this component, and I've come up empty. I have no idea if by turning them both off, you can get both channels to come out, or you're only able to do either the A speakers or the B speakers. I have no idea. But I guess we'll find out in a short while, because I do intend on hooking up an additional pair of speakers to see if I can be able to do that. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get my CD player, and then we'll hear some sounds out of this. Okay, so right now I have the Ben Sound #2 inserted into the Denim CD player. I used this on the demo for the Yamaha amplifier. It's the DCD 810. It's a very good CD player for his age. Usually old CD players aren't very reliable, but this one happens to play pretty well. Then I also got my Yamaha speakers from the last demo as well. I'll just show them again in case you haven't watched the demo on the Yamaha DSP A1000. So this is the Yamaha NS-A575. This has had a mod. Someone switched out the subwoofers for a couple of pile subwoofers, which I guess they work okay. I do intend on making this original eventually if I can get a hold of the old subwoofers, but for now it serves its purposes. 140 watts at 8 ohms, so you get a decent sound out of that. I'm not a big fan of Yamaha's design with these grills on the speakers. They have these little pins that they're just not very sturdy, and you kind of have to put the thing in carefully or else the whole thing just falls apart. So let me try to get that in there. It's almost damn near impossible to try to get these to line up correctly and do them one-handed, so I had to put down my camera for a second to do that. All right, so here's a moment of truth. I'll go ahead and press play and then slowly put the volume up on this device. Okay, I'll probably just go ahead and start by making sure that these knobs are centered. Okay, so okay, so I decided to go ahead and switch over to the A speakers first. That way I can go ahead and try to hook something up for the B input. I have everything defeated, as you can see, and I know it's kind of scuffed up here. Probably need to clean that up a little bit. But I got my the loudness setting all the way down. I have the bass defeated, the treble defeated, and I have the balance right center in the middle. This is set on, so we get that stereo sound. Actually, turn that off. We'll see the difference if I leave it on or off to see if there's any difference in that. I doubt it, since I only have 2 speakers hooked up right there. I'll go ahead and start, and then we'll go ahead and play with some of the controllers. I'm interested in seeing how loud we can get with that loudness control. So I'm gonna go ahead and just press play. Okay, I'll go ahead and put the volume that I had earlier, which was all the way up to 10, and we'll see how loud this, and then we'll play with the loudness control and then see how high we can get it at. So dial. So that is pretty powerful. I put the dial all the way up so we can hear the 20, I don't know what, doesn't really say if it's decibel or not, but this is definitely maxed out, and then did not touch the treble or the bass. Still centered. Let's see if we hear any difference with the simulated stereo. So I did not hear any difference when I pushed the simulated stereo. So okay, next thing to try is to see if we can get 4 speakers working on this, which don't think it's very promising, because I was hoping to at least be able to power both inputs once I had this hooked up, but we'll see. Okay, so it's been several weeks since I actually troubleshooted this, and I finally figured out what the problem was. Now, this might be something of importance for people that might have a unit like this. So if you have this plug, try not to use it when you're using this amplifier right here. So apparently what it does is it overloads the amp so that it won't be able to play speaker B. So I figured out that as long as you plug this by itself and keep it away from the preamp, which what I was doing, I was plugging this right into the amplifier. I was plugging in the preamp into the amplifier. As long as you stay away from that, you will get the sound for both speaker A and speaker B. I'll go ahead and just demonstrate. We were having problems with speaker B. It was not playing at all, or it was playing on one side. So now that I got to fix that, I'll go ahead and just play my bend sound tape. So just to show that each side is playing, I'm going to go ahead and play the right side. And this is the left side. Both sides. So unfortunately, I still haven't figured out how to get both sides to play. You know, I tried it, and you can't really get both sides unless, well, you just can't. I mean, I've tried it many different ways. I only found one manual for this, and doesn't really tell much about the operation of this machine. But I'm content about troubleshooting it enough that I got this to work. So now this will be in one of my radio systems, because I mean, this baby outputs 150 watts per channel. So this is, you're definitely going to get your speakers to boom on this one. Anyways, thank you for joining me today. I know it's been a while since I put this off. But you probably won't even see it, because I'm going to go ahead and upload this with the update all together. So I probably won't even talk about several weeks later. But anyways, thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my video. Have a wonderful week.